Welcome everyone to another video. Today we are looking at a further expansion of the European countries. And we'll go straight into this with our first expansion being by the Yellows, who will expand into what is now modern day Moldova and what was it? Ukraine. We'll see Crimea as a country is going to go full on into expansion and is going to be quite the expansionist country. Why is this a pain in my face? Oh, 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 oh. Above capitals. But yeah, we're gonna see that the Crimean country will declare that they will push towards these areas in an effort to get more lands that they can rule. And as you can see, I'm making the silhouette of Ukraine already in some form or way. There's also a small thing happening, and that is that we'll have a small friend for our good old guys over here, and it will be known as the puppet of the Yellows, as this guy is basically a puppet nation. As you can see, it's doing a lot already, and it's going to be stopped in its tracks by one thing, and that's gonna be that it won't do anything. Absolutely anything. And as you can see, trade routes are going to stay the same for now. Well, actually, let's do something here. I'm gonna make the trade routes go like this. Through, well, the red team didn't want the trade routes to go through like the oranges because they wanted to like downgrade them basically to make them dependent on the reds. And then there was this happening over here, and that is the thing is that we'll see the trade route over here becoming the only trade route that is going to be needed, and we'll see that a small trade route will be made through here. Now if we make a different one, basically this being the different one, you can see where the trade routes are going with the you know what thing. There's a lot of cities over here that are doing some trade stuff, mainly these ones, and the capital over here that's just sending people over here. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this. The sea routes aren't gonna be needed. So, yep. But now we're going to get rid of this, and we're gonna check out up on the Italian peninsula because that's something's happening here, and that is these areas being discovered by explorers. And people are like already like, okay, there's definitely something here, and that's when they reach these areas. Vatican, you somehow manage to get through my eyes every time I get over here. God damn. But we will see that most of the Italian peninsula is discovered, and explorers from both sides start to meet in this area. Carthage manages to locate both of these islands and decides to also occupy them by annexing them in its growing empire. And it's going to also quickly settle these lands until it's going to stop, because it doesn't want any more of the southern parts of well, you know who. But we'll see that most of this Carthage area will be left alone, and we'll see a new nation pop up, and that will be this nation. This will be known as Campania. I think that's what this area was called. I'll have to check after the video, but I think that Campania, I'm gonna name them Campania. They're going to take over this area, and they're going to also be the only Italian nation for now. But that won't stay for a long time, because well, somebody's still finding a lot of things out about the Italian peninsula, and that is these guys over here. And then we have the magentas arriving, and this is Rome, basically. Rome has now popped up, and they cut off the Campanians. And what we will see is that they will make a small treaty that will basically grant these guys all of this and these guys all of this area. And both won't be salty, because that's basically what they wanted. And yeah, our Italian nations now. Also, another thing, our good old friends over here will expand. They will not expand, but actually they will expand and discover more lands. And Horn of Morocco over here will be discovered, and they will discover less and less until they just stop discovering stuff, and they decide that it's about around time that they just stopped discovering a lot of things over here, because, well, first of all, they didn't really want to discover too much, and second of all, they just discovered the Gibraltar Strait, so they really want to get over here. A small party will be managing to, in a stormy time, because they just before they got into the sea, they saw a storm that was coming their way, so they tried to get on land as fast as possible on the other side of, well, Gibraltar Strait, but most of the boats got sunk by the storm, so yeah. But at least we see some people managing to discover and do stuff over here. And we see that most of these people that are over here will currently only, and I mean only, focus on the southern parts of Iberia. So Iberia is being discovered. We see Caspia, not Caspia, the Danube country, making a bit of an expansion. Macedon will make an expansion move, and same with this guy. Speaking of this guy, he annexes this area under the pretense of the son over here being incompetent. And we'll see something else happening. That's this guy declaring independence. Yeah. This guy declared independence For what reason? Because they are in the Mediterranean Pact, so going against them would basically cause a war. Yeah. But we'll see a union also happening, because, well, these two want to defend themselves from any outside threat, and seeing the Mediterranean Pact is right on the doorsteps, they really don't want that to happen. So what will happen is that these guys will unite under the flag over here. And this flag will be one big blue flag. So yeah, we have Greece now. Yay! Greece has become a nation now, and they are pushing towards a true. Was this Etruria or was this area Etruria? I don't know. But what we will know is that the Italian peoples are going to continue their knowledge gathering, and they will continue just doing stuff, and then they will hit the Italian mountains. They will manage to go around them for a bit, but then they won't very much be able to do a lot, as they hit a cliff, and they don't want to be falling off a cliff. So yeah, but they do manage to get into some areas around the mountains, and this is basically what they have over here. They don't manage to get in these areas, as it's, well, not possible yet. Also, some maps are lost, so they kinda lose on knowledge of these areas. So yeah, life is not good. And speaking of life, we'll see that the Persians over here will push further over here in an attempt to expand the lands. And this is where they expand. Yeah, they expand very much towards this area. And we see an rebellion. Very big one. As well, why not? We see a rebellion happening in this guy's country, and this will be to go against the red team, and will be led by the prince, who will also be taking the capital. And as you can see, the red team forces are going to be overwhelmed by the sheer fastness of how fast these guys are in moving their lands. They move so fast that not even the Reds can comprehend it. We do see that the Red team will struggle to hold them off. Being the strongest country, it's not good for them, because they are all over the place currently. So life is not good. But we see the rebels managing to take one of the four cities, and they will manage to take it with ease. Speaking of ease, they are having a very easy time kicking out the Reds. They try to get over here, but it's around this time that we see another rebellion, and this time it's their cousins over here that really wanted independence. The Reds will try and reinstate their rule, as they think that this land is theirs for a reason, and was theirs. But once they get over here and try to take it back, they are pushed into the lands. And yeah, it's not something that I really wanted. And then they are pushed even more into the lands. So they are being pushed into their own sovereign lands by a rebellion that's smaller than them and weaker than them, but more determined and more morale filled. And there's a very small force of red team troops that manages to get into the top area over here and defend from any incursions. But a small pocket over here is destroyed. And over here we see yellow team guys rise up. Because, well, yeah, they really wanted to rise up. These guys were in support of the original government. Holy hell, it's hard to even see them. Yeah, now it's possible. They are in support of the original government that was over here, and this was these guys. And they will continue to deny their, well, conquerors the ability to, well, diplomatically retake them. Like, appease them, basically. And they will take these lands before being stopped by a massive army of Reds, and they will be forced to stop at a certain point. And it's around this point that Red Team troops are forced to back off a bit. And it's eventually, he said that the encirclement over here, yeah, it caused a full-on siege, and the siege was lifted by these guys when it was taken. The city was taken. Over here we do see the lands over here being taken back, and we see Red Team forces managing to push and over here and retake some lands, but not every piece of land that they did take back was theirs, so but we do see even more of advance happening, and that's because, well, yeah, these guys kinda wanted them to send a message that they can push into the Red Team when they want. And the Red Team was the first and strongest in the world because of this one little exclave being the fourth strongest. Now they have just bumped down in strength to the second, and the first in most powerful would be, well, these guys. Yeah, they are the most powerful now. Probably. I don't know. But we do see the Red Team losing their ability to defend these people over here, who then decide that they would rather support a new nation than support the old government. And most of these guys over here that are over here decide that they want a new nation to rule them that doesn't put immense taxes on them for justifying one simple order of give us your food or we will, well, tax you very harshly and take your land, and you as a prisoner, a slave, because slavery in this world is still like something that is happening. And basically this is what happens to the Red Team. They lose a lot of land, and another body want revenge for a bit of stuff. So we see the Constantinople guys land in Crete and this area. We see the areas over here being invaded by the Constantinese sounds better. Constantine's people, Constantians, and the Constantians will manage to also take a lot of land over here that wasn't originally theirs, but some will be theirs, and they will manage to almost take this major city, and they manage to take these areas before they kinda see that there's a rebellion going on over here. Why is there a rebellion? Well, people want change and they don't want a ruler to rule them. And the Orange is like, okay, we'll give you your independence, we'll support you, but you just gotta allow us to take some lands over here. and if you allow us, then we will help you. And these guys will be quite happy to do that, because, well, they took Cyprus by surprise when they landed in 2 spots, and they kind of cut it in 3 pieces and took it. And the blue team currently, what they're on the roll of, full-on war. They aren't on steroids or anything. I'm sure of that. They would have told someone. But the blue team just wants these lands back that they once had, and they don't want to go against Libya because, well, and they won't go against these guys because they're being protected by this guy. So, yeah. But what we will see is that the blue team manages to push back many attempts at retaking these lands, and they will also push into lands they have never gotten to invade. So they're new to these areas. Some aren't very new, some have been there as like a traveler or something. And we'll see that the blue team will push into... Was this Dasanai? No, this wasn't Dasanai Peninsula. But the blue team will land in the back parts of the defensive forces over here and, well, destroy them. We'll also see a big push over here, resulting in most of the blue team forces deciding to take this major city and push towards the capital. It's around this time that the blue team is basically seen as the strongest nation now, because they're managing to destroy any red team troops that are in their way, and that's because the red team is outdated now. Yeah. And a lot of nations will take a part in this gangbang, as you can see. We'll see this, the yellow nation over here declaring war on the red team. Well, informally, they wouldn't really declare, but they did, so yeah. And in the first few months they took this, and that's in the same months that the blue team took that, so yeah. And we see the yellow team gaining some land after buying it back from these guys. And again, they bought a bit more land because, well, yeah. That was the land. It wasn't valuable. But we'll see that the red team is going to have their king captured and murdered, well, executed for his crimes and his family's crimes, and a blue team representative will take over, and yeah. We'll see that blue team forces will decide that they want to, well, occupy lands that they haven't had before. They take new lands. They don't take major cities, but they do take the lands that they once wanted back. And they take their old capital, but they're gonna keep their new capital because, well, they have built it up. This isn't very built up. And yeah, they're going to leave the capital. But the Reds too managed to reacquire this land and this land. But the Blues are like, okay, we will make a compromise, but only if you take these more and this, because, well, yeah, we want this border. But oh my god, that scared the hell out of me. Oh god, it scared the hell out of me. But yeah, we'll see that the golden guys are going to take less than they actually had before. Checking at trade routes, they're gonna take more than they actually would normally have to take, and that's because they just want these lands. They also retake this area, so yeah. And they kind of bargain for these lands over here. as they really wanted to retake their old lands that they lost. So we'll see that Mesopotamians will be quite mad that they lost the war, and they will have a lot of problems. But what will also be a larger problem is that they have now lost their only source of absolute strength, because these guys were like their strength guys. They gave them strength. Also, due to the failure of these guys, they lost the connection to these areas. So yeah, we see quite a lot of problems here for a certain someone. Yeah. We'll also see another thing happening, and that's a move over here taking place that will reignite the fire to explore in a lot of people. And we'll see quite a lot of problems happening here for the guys that are expanding, because they are trying to expand forcefully their knowledge very forcefully, and they're forcefully sending people to explore. Some people are okay with this, but others aren't, and we see that a small group does manage to make it over here, but they won't tell anyone, and they will settle only a few small lands over here. But it's around this time that we just stop for a bit, because something is happening, and that is that Naples is given over. Well, this area that was former Naples. We'll see that the Carthaginians can't really hold on to these lands anymore, as the people over here are more towards the prince over here. They are more lenient towards him, so the first one to go will be this area, and then the second area to go to them will be most of Sicily. There will be a small part that will still want to stay with the old country, but eventually they're flooded by people that want to fully take this area. And this just causes the full thing over here to kind of change. So they're still, don't forget that they are still part of the same thing. But what we will see is that the further peace deal, because I haven't really done this area, we'll see that these areas will be given over to the oranges, but what they also will get is some extra lands, aka lands that they didn't have before, and then now they have them, aka these ones. And this rebellion, yeah, it's going to be quite a big one, and eventually we'll see that it and its parent country will have peace talks, and we have the first Anatolian, Turkish country. It's kind of fully Turk, I think. I don't know. But what we will see is that these areas just get fully, yeah. But the red team eventually just declares that they will only recognize that these lands, less than those, are part of this guy, and that just becomes the norm for this guy. That it just becomes, yeah, this is what they look like. Hey, you got your independence, and this is the end of the video now. Have a good day, guys.